Hey guys, my name is Dylan with the anime summary. The story begins in a dangerous place called the Labyrinth City. The main protagonist, Nick, being a swashbuckler. Nick having a wonderful girlfriend and the dream of his party to become A-rank adventurers. Later that day, Nick receives word from Argus, the party leader, that he is kicked from the party. Following dinner, Nick is dumped by his girlfriend, leaving him to suffer. In the rain, Nick is sitting down on a fountain, heartbroken on how everything important to him in life has been taken away from him. An idol by the name of a Gate notices him soaked in the rain alone without an umbrella. Nick is confused on why she approached him and started a conversation with him. Agate gives him a card ordering Nick to be at her concert at the Southgate Hall the following day, giving him the umbrella and running away. After the concert ends, Nick is glad that he went to the event, buying all of Agate's merchandise, then heading home for the night. The next morning at the guild house, Nick becomes motivated, wanting to become an idol otaku just like Agate, and figures that he needs to join another party to catch up with her. Inside, he thinks about asking a person alone to join his party, but chickens out at the last second. He leaves the guild house disappointed and not finding a party to join, heading to the bar to cope with his sadness. While Nick is drinking, he notices three adventurers taking a seat at his table. Nick notices from one of the girls that she has pretty old and expensive jewelry along with her clothes, indicating that she is from a noble family. After, Nick sees that the priest has been drinking ever since he has arrived. Lastly, assuming that the Dragonair girl has been through a lot of battles just by looking at her. The group in sync have their drinks and at the same time say that they can't trust anyone, surprised by each other's exact words. The noble girl going by the name Tiana tells the story of her being betrayed. After claiming her title as being the top student at the school, she goes to the dining hall to talk to her longtime boyfriend Alex, with Lynn, another noble student, sitting next to Alex, despising Tiana. Alex informs Tiana that there are rumors in the school and that she has been bullying other kids. Alex gets super mad, ignoring Tiana's innocence and calling off their relationship as a couple. Later in the future, Alex and Lynn become an official couple while Tiana's father despises her. Tiana heads to Labyrinth City to find a job but gets rejected at every place, deciding to head to a horsing race to gamble her money away. She ends up winning her first ever bet, but shortly after becomes an addictive gambler and loses everything. The next day, Tiana notices an adventure sign where therefore she met the other two and Nick at the dinner. Secondly, Zem was a clerk worshipping the god of divine aspiration, having a great connection with Muriel, a young lady, giving her a gold coin to spend. Later that night, Muriel confesses her feelings to Zem, wanting to start a relationship together. Zem declines her offer, stating that he's not allowed to date anyone, being the man of the cloth. Muriel storms off angry out of the house, staring into the night sky. The following day, Zem is at his house where he notices a group of clerks with Muriel looking distressed. He goes out to check on her but realizes that he will be arrested for false charges from Muriel, getting put into jail. After getting released from jail, he walks through town getting stuff thrown at him and also getting yelled at, being called various names. Zem heads into a restaurant where the lady working there decides it would be helpful to Zem to stay upstairs for the night. The next morning, the lady suggests to Zem at breakfast to head to the Labyrinth City to become an adventurer. She goes behind the desk and gives him tools to become one, and that's where they met at the diner. The group drinks more and more throughout the night. Then Nick has a dream about his former girlfriend dumping him, then out of nowhere wakes up in a room with everyone that he was talking to last night. Before everyone leaves, Nick suggests that they form a party having similar backstories, with the group agreeing to the party. The group arrives at the guild house to officially create the party. They end up scaring the clerk off with the old lady named Vilma who runs the place, admiring how balanced their party is. She demands to know from them what their party name will be, with the group agreeing that their party name will be the Survivors from now on. Later that night at the tavern, Nick plans out the future with the group, first setting laws for each other to split the money per quest. Nick gives a speech saying that his time at his former party made him realize that putting someone in charge doesn't give them full trust, meaning that trust is truly just recognized when their party isn't out to hurt each other. Kuran the Dragonair says that it's hard to believe in someone but would like to trust people in the future. The next day, the survivors' party heads to the Sticky Aqueducts. Nick informs the group that since they are starting at G rank that they will only have access to the 3 labyrinths, one being the Sticky Aqueducts, telling them that in order to rank up they will have to defeat 2 of the bosses in order to be promoted to rank F. Nick takes out one of the slimes on their way up, telling the party that stones inside the slime sell for coins and to make sure to collect as much as possible on their journeys. On their way up a flight of stairs, Nick is glad that they formed a party together. Two slimes surprise Tiana while the group is walking through a tunnel towards the boss room. She gets mad, being caught and embarrassed, sending ice shards at the slimes but accidentally aiming at Kuron instead. Kuron gets mad at Tiana, and while they're going up, decide to hold grudges against one another. At the top of the aqueduct, they enter the pink slime boss room. Before Nick comes up with a plan, Tiana runs out using her ice shards to take out the boss, but getting everyone covered in slime in the process. In the afternoon, Team Survivors head to the Goblin Forest. On their way, Nick instructs them to be more coordinated in their attacks since goblins will fight in packs possessing a degree of intelligence. After slaying a pack of goblins, Tiana detects that in the distance, a goblin who has way too much magic. Knowing this, the party starts making their way towards it. They see the pack of goblins ahead of them, with Tiana sarcastically telling Kuron to not trust her while she uses her ice shards. Kuron gets the picture and charges at the goblins, not looking back. She ignores all of the little goblins and with her crazy power uses her blade to instantly annihilate the big goblin with magic. While collecting the horns for gold, Nick accidentally trips into Kuron, both shocked by the amulet Kuron had getting cracked. We get a flashback to when Kuron stopped at a vendor shop, being in our former party. Kuron picks up an amulet and asks for the price, with the vendor stating 20,000 dina. She puts the pendant away, but before she completely leaves, the vendor notices a scratch on the pendant. Therefore, the vendor tells Kuron that if she pays half of the price, that he will let her off from the police. One of Kuron's party members by the name of Kalios arrives. He snatches the pendant from the vendor and orders Kuron to scratch it. Kuron scratches the pendant with her claws, revealing that the vendor was trying to scam them into buying the pendant. The vendor, not wanting to get into any trouble with the police, gives Kalios and Kuron the real pendant. In a labyrinth, Kuron slays a monster in one swing, with Kalios and the rest of the party congratulating her. The group continues to walk, with Kalios explaining that the pot snake is close ahead of them. Kalios orders Kuron to attack the pot snake first. Kuron knocks the pot, revealing the snake at the top of the pot. The snake shades himself into a weird green aura. The snake then spreads a poisonous gas which makes Kuron paralyzed, unable to move. Kalios and the rest of the party start taking the goods from the snake, betraying the friendship between them and Kuron. Kalios and the party end up leaving Kuron for dead, exiting the labyrinth without her. Kuron makes her way to the guild house herself, collapsing in front of it. The following day, she tries to find Kalios but eventually gives up. Kuron notices a strange man and hears rumors about him being a solo adventurer. She decides to follow him for the next few days, finding out that his name is Fifths, the Solo Eater. Fifths eventually catches on to her following him. Back at the diner, just when his sword is about to fall to the ground, she catches it with her tail. Fifths leaves the dinner, with Kuron thanking him for the kindness and enjoying the new food she has tried. Nick tries looking for a pendant that he broke earlier in the Goblin Forest and is still confused on why she didn't get mad about it. Agate the Idol sees Nick and they decide to sit down back at the fountain where they met to have a conversation. Nick tells her the details of what went down between him and Kuron. Agate gives Nick advice to be selfish, implying to ask Kuron about the situation, recalling the first encounter that they had together. Nick heads back into town to meet Kuron at a food stand. Kuron stuffs Nick with food in his mouth, with Nick being happy to see Kuron having a great time. They both head to the bridge to have a conversation about the bird pendant breaking. Kuron tells him not to worry about the pendant, then eats the spicy food where they had a great laugh together. Later that night in the tavern, the group heads back to the diner where they met and have a special moment together. Vilma appears, escorting them to the guildhouse where she orders them to find the sacred Sword of Bond's weapon. Vilma offers the party 30,000 dina each for the retrieval. Nick rebuttals, stating that for the retrieval the Sword of Bonds will be guaranteed, also for the labyrinth a map to know the monsters in the area, along with information on the Sword of Bonds, with both parties coming to terms with their agreement. The survivors' party make their way into the labyrinth, searching for the Sword of Bonds. Team survivors make their way down a flight of stairs down the hallway. At the end of the hallway, they notice a dead end containing a green light. Nick goes and explores it, then all of a sudden a random secret doorway opens below the light. The group goes inside to see an empty room where they assume that the sword will be in one of the cases. Tiana tells the group to wait using her detection magic to scout the room before proceeding forward. After detecting nothing in the room, the group makes their way towards the red button in the middle of the room. When all of a sudden the lights turn on and a mysterious voice starts talking. They are confused at the fact that the sword in front of them doesn't look like the Sword of Bonds and begin chatting among themselves. The Sword of Bonds explains to them that he's the real deal. The sword goes on to explain that he's an angel-class psychic weapon. Nick spills the beans and tells them that they are going to end up selling him for all the cash, with the Swords of Bonds freaking out. The Guardian system activates with the golem appearing in front of Team Survivors. Tiana tries using her ice shards but has no effect on the golem. The golem repels the attack onto Kuran, severely wounding her. Nick tells the rest of Team Survivors to retreat to the door and will buy time for them to escape the labyrinth. The Sword of Bonds tells Nick that the golem's body is made up of nanomachines, meaning that ranged and sharp weapons will do 0 damage to it, also ordering Nick to use him as a sword to defeat the golem. Nick starts slicing some of the parts of the golem's arms with the Sword of Bonds, surprised that it's working, with the golem knocking him away into the hole forcefully. In the hole through all of the wreckage, Nick is badly wounded from the fall, breaking a few bones along the way. Kuran jumps down into the hole searching for Nick while Tiana and Zem stall the golem. She hears Nick calling for her through the rummage, helping him out. Meanwhile, back in the room, Tiana and Zem can no longer stall out the golem. Nick and Kuran transform together with the Swords of Bonds and smash the golem from behind into pieces. While the golem fully regenerates into one again with their combined strength, they use their full power from the suit to finally destroy the golem for good. Back at the guild house, the survivors' party showcased the Sword of Bonds in front of Vilma. Vilma agrees upon the intended amount, noticing a young kid in the back asking on who he is. The boy states his name to be Kizuna, and the party realizes that he almost gave away his identity away, being the Swords of Bonds, to Vilma. Back at their room, Nick splits the Team Survivors' money up equally to everyone. The group is glad that they can finally have money to spend on their hobbies. Nick and the group explain the #1 rule to Kizuna about not interfering with anyone's hobbies. Kizuna gets upset not being able to partake in any of their hobbies. Tiana questions if Kizuna wants to hang out with her at the horse racing, and they make their way to the event. If you guys like what you saw, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you in the next video. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.